So Tomcats, I know you're sleeping, but I'm going to tell you the story. Yesterday's video that was uploaded that I got laid off, because this is the big gap between the videos, about 2 months, 3 months. Someone had said in the comments that Novak emulator I installed, that they may have given me the wrong pull-up resistor, Tomcats. Maybe that's the issue. I got some 681 ohms coming in, but I know you don't care because all you want to do is just sleep in your little thing there and being a good little giddy in the sun. So yeah, apparently, possibly, they may have set the wrong resistor for that emulator. So right now, I just got it disconnected for the time being. So this is interesting. Ignition's on. I don't get that beeper because computer thinks it's running. Got a cam and crank sensor. What happens if I fire it up? Now we're back to the beeping because it's not seeing it run. Yeah, that's so bizarre why it's doing that. I'll need to look at that later, but right now I just put the winch on it and just seeing what I can do to clean this bumper up a little bit. So let's get started on that. Got my line. There's no going back now. Not gonna film the cutting part. It's too hard on the lenses, especially if you get sparks in there. If I was filming outside, I would, but it's too ugly outside, so I'm just gonna zip it off. So there's the piece I cut off on the floor. So what I want to do is weld a flat piece in there. And that'll clean it up quite a bit instead of, I never did like that flared out part. This will kind of keep a little bit cleaner. That part's done. Now comes the gross part, removing all the powder coating, which I'm going to do outside. Well, sandblasting would be the best option here to remove all the coating. I'm going to use a grinder with a sanding pad on it. Not too abrasive. Well, abrasive enough to remove the coating, but not to like grind down the material, as you can see right there what I did. Well, that was painful, but let me show you something that I get a kick out of when people say, I just got a small rust patch, nothing to worry about. So I spent the last hour and some sanding it down. And now that I got the powder coating crap off, you could see just the extent of some of the rust. Like that was just like a little patch like that. Guaranteed, and I've shown this a few times on my channel with working with rust. If you got like a little rust patch underneath the paint, it is guaranteed is going to be at least 3 times that size. So you can just have a look at the metal, and underneath the powder coating it was just festering and starting to bubble. You never see the damage until it's off. So on this backside here, to help kind of strengthen it up, I'm obviously going to put a bead through there, and also going to weld up to that corner there, and I die grind it some out there because I'm going to put a good bead in there. But I'm also going to put a small strip of metal in the middle and weld it down, and then put another strip of metal all the way across. And I'm going to weld it to this side. It's going to be welded to the middle, weld it there, and then another little piece on this side. And that'll help strengthen that up a little bit. Because we know that if you're going to pull off the D-ring, you got your mount right there. You got your mounts right there. This will kind of help a little bit. But as you can see, there's not much structural integrity right there. So if I just put some little small plates in there, it'll definitely help out. But at the same time, you got to use some common sense on when you want to use them. Because anytime you give some sort of inertia, you're probably going to end up tweaking something. But what I want to do right now is get some cardboard and then trace that out so I get ready to weld brand new plates on. So I just scribed it out as close as possible so I'll have minimal waste. Really like the way that looks. Bumper shortened up a little bit, just tacking everything into place. Now to go with the bend. I'm gonna get the tube bender fired up. Got my piece right here that I cut. This is gonna be the fun part right now, is trying to figure out how everything works. The first bend I did with the tube bender, I just bent a piece in 180 degrees just to see obviously how it works. Now with the tube software, I laid out the measurements. Let's have a look and see what it says on what I want to do. So now I got my template of my proposed new bar. 33 inches across, which is roughly the same as the other one. I want it to be 12 inches high, about 18 in the middle. And it says right there, cut length will be 43.294. Bend number 1 will be at almost 10 inches, 58 degree angle. Bend number 2 will be at 26.488, also at 58 degrees. Software even gets fancy that you can even show it bend. So I cut the tube a little longer, gave myself like 3/4 of an inch on each side, and I guess we'll see how this is gonna work. So I lined up my first mark roughly with the very edge of the die. We'll see how that's gonna play out. I need to take the slack out of this and then adjust my wheel. There we go. So I don't know if this is right or wrong, but what I'm doing is that first I bent it to about 58 degrees, and then I backed off the cylinder and then tightened it up till it was snug in the cradle again and looked at what the degrees were. And then I bent it a little bit farther, like 60 and then like 62. So looks like roughly I gotta go like 4 degrees over, and the spring back will bring me right to where I want to be. At least that's what I'm thinking. Whether or not that's the way it'll end up playing out in the end. We'll find out. But I need to remove it, pull her back out, readjust it to this next line, and do the next bend. Well, there we have it. That's the first real piece I bet for real. So that's what I got right now. I'm gonna think on it. Fedor says it's too high, but I kind of like it high. I didn't like the way the other one was so low. I'm gonna keep it straight up and down. I don't want it angled. I mean, there's no point trying to make it like a stinger when I got those in the ground. And plus with it straight up and down, still makes it usable to work on the Jeep. And then think about running a gusset in there, and then 1-inch tube, maybe a dimple die, so a couple small holes. I'm not sure how I'm gonna work that yet. I can just hear that wind blow. But anyways, this is gonna be my safety tip of the day. Anytime you're about to weld on your vehicle, you need to disconnect the battery and disconnect the negative post. And I really like that penny light mod I did. That is friggin' sweet. So I'm gonna disconnect the battery. Gonna tack that in place. And then continue working on it. Okay, after tack welding it in, I have a confession to make. I decided to bust the tacks, break it off, and bend a new piece. Only because the first piece, my first time actually really bending something, and I fucked up, and I was gonna try to make it work. And after it was tacked in place, if you looked at it close enough, you could definitely tell. I'm gonna show you why. So the upper one's my new one, and this is my original one, this first one. Yeah, I can see this first one. It's a few degrees out. Second one is flat, so I'm gonna roll with the second one. So it's definitely straighter. At least now when I'm looking down the side, can't see go cockeyed. What I need to do is drill a hole in the center. Drill out the holes in the tube bigger, because I'm gonna put light bar tabs up there, and then I want to run my wires through the tubing. That way it acts as a drain and wires for my lights. So I got two options. That's kind of my gusset and how it's going to go. However, it does look kind of boring. So on this side, got a couple holes drilled, and I got the dimple dies from TMR Customs I purchased a while ago. So I'm going to dimple die it and see how that works. So what I did down here, I just got it fitted up, is I'm gonna put like a signal light in the corner of the bumper there. And then there's gonna be another one up there. But everything is tacked into place. The bigger dies might make a difference. But I wouldn't mind putting a couple dimple holes on the bottom there. I wonder if I'm gonna go down the rabbit hole with that or not. Okay, I changed my mind. I'm not going to do the dimple dies on there. I don't think that little ram is gonna have enough juice, because I used my hydraulic press there and I hardly did anything, and that metal's about the same thickness. And I don't feel like welding it back in because there's no way I could get that in my press and press it. So if I don't do this, it's gonna haunt me. Oh shit, we blew the cylinder. We blew the cylinder. Well, that was a fail. A 15-tonner would probably work. Now this cheap wing wang ram did come with a seal kit. I don't know if it's for the actual pump or for that. Something I might have to look at afterwards is see if that can unscrew with the spring and see if we can rebuild that cylinder. Alright, since it's like being in Russia right now with bread lineups everywhere you go, can't just go in the stores, I got to utilize everything right down to the last bit. And that's including utilizing every little piece of scrap metal as I'm getting everything fitted up here to start to weld in. So there I am, managed to get a bead across there, welded everything in. So that's gonna act like a big washer. Instead of everything just pulling on this one little section, it'll help spread it out. Ah, perfect timing. Comes off its cycle. Everything is welded in now. You can see, looking at the front bumper, where it's all been blue, where those tabs were welded in. So now, when you pull on this, like I said, the weight is going to be spread out further. And as you can see right there, comes up to the upper mount. And I also put a weld directly across that seam there. So we're looking good. Those end caps are welded, but they're going to be ground off smooth at an angle to match the profile, so we may have to touch the welding up on there again. Hope it doesn't rain tonight because I want to have a fire, but that's it. That's how the bumper turned out. Turned out to be pretty good. Got some guy ripping down the alley in a forklift. What the fuck, over? There we have it, all done. Just gotta do the rear bumper. Probably do the transfer case mount. And then I get this all ready for POR 15, and then Raptor lined Getting closer so I could legally take it out on the road. I think it's motherfucking beer time now. Let's go in the old El Frigo. Let's grab this Jam Up the Mash. This is some good beer. Dry, hopped, sour. Alright, motherfucking beer time. This is Jam Up the Mash. All the way from Ontario land. Let's crack this open. Motherfucking beer time. Another job. Well done. It's getting warmer out, so beers are tasting better. This project turned out to be alright. Was a learning curve. As always, first time using the tool for the first time. Used the bender. Had my, measured my second bend a few degrees off, as you could tell. And I was honest, I didn't want to not use that piece because when I first bought the tubing, I bought seamless Dom 120 wall, and that shit's fucking expensive, and I should just bought the tubing that had the seam, which is a lot cheaper. Besides the point, live and learn. I got the second one bent. Everything's welded in. Learned some fails with the dimple die, which I'm glad I did not drill those holes out and try to dimple them. Otherwise, I would have been hooped, as you guys seen. Blew the seals out of that knockout punch. So, I mean, it is only made for thin stuff. So, later on, down the road, when I start running out of projects, I'll see if I can take it apart and rebuild it. But if you guys are interested in this type of stuff, fabricating, welding, there's going to be a whole bunch of that continuing to go on the next bit because got tons of stuff to do. So, anyways, motherfucking beer time. If you guys have any questions or comments, post them below. Otherwise, I want to thank you guys for watching.